If you're about to spend $30 to $40, maybe even $60,000 on an SUV, there's one thing you really don't want to get wrong. Because here's the reality. Most cars don't show their problems on day one. They show up later, a few months in, when the excitement wears off. And you start noticing the little things that weren't obvious at the dealership. That's what this is about. Not hype. Not brand loyalty. Just a clear look at which SUVs in 2026 are worth your attention, and which ones you should take a second look at before buying. Let's start with three that aren't necessarily bad, but come with some important trade-offs. SUVs to be careful with. Number 1. Chevrolet Blazer EV. The Blazer EV is a really interesting case, because on paper it looks like exactly what a lot of people want. Modern design, strong range numbers, fully electric. But the launch didn't go smoothly. GM actually had to pause sales not long after release, because of software-related issues affecting core systems in the vehicle. That included infotainment, connectivity, even basic functionality in some cases. Now, to be fair, they've pushed multiple updates since then, and things have improved. But software is still something to pay attention to here. Some owners report that it's working perfectly fine now. Others still mention occasional glitches or lag. And with a vehicle like this, your entire experience depends on that system working well. Then there's range. Officially, you're looking at up to around 293 miles, depending on the trim. In real-world driving, especially in colder weather, that number can drop. That's true for all EVs, but it's still something buyers need to plan for. Interior-wise, it's clean and modern. But at this price point, some competitors offer more premium materials. The Blazer EV has improved since launch, but it's still worth comparing carefully with other electric SUVs before making a decision. Number 2. Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe. The Grand Cherokee 4xe is one of those vehicles. That sounds perfect in theory. You get electric driving for short trips, a gas engine for longer ones, and it still keeps that classic Jeep capability. On paper, it checks a lot of boxes. About 25 miles of electric range, strong combined power, solid off-road credentials. But in real-world use, it really depends on how you drive it. If you're charging it regularly, you can actually get good efficiency out of it. If you're not, you're basically carrying around extra weight from the hybrid system, and fuel economy can end up similar to, or sometimes worse than, the standard gas version. There's also the reliability side. This model has had multiple recalls, including some related to the battery system. And some drivers mention that the transition between electric and gas power is noticeable, not completely seamless. Not a deal-breaker for everyone, but definitely something you feel in daily driving. The 4xe can make sense, but only if you plan to actually use it as a plug-in hybrid. Otherwise, the benefits aren't always there. Number 3. Ford Explorer ST Line. Now let's talk about the Explorer ST Line. This one isn't about major problems. It's more about positioning. The ST line is meant to feel a little more sporty. You get unique styling, a firmer suspension setup, and a slightly different driving feel. It uses a 2.3-liter turbo engine, and fuel economy is about what you'd expect. Mid-20s combined. The issue comes down to trade-offs. First, the third row. Compared to some competitors, it's just not as spacious. Fine for kids, but adults on longer trips might not be as comfortable. Second, ride quality. That sportier suspension can feel a bit firm, especially on rough roads. And third, value. Depending on how it's priced, you can end up in the same range as SUVs that offer more space or more features. It's a solid SUV overall, but whether it's the right one really depends on what you prioritize. So those are 3 SUVs that are worth a closer look before buying. Not necessarily bad, just not the best fit for everyone. Now let's switch gears, because there are also some really strong options in 2026. The RAV4 Hybrid is one of the easiest recommendations in this segment, because it just does everything well. Fuel economy is a big part of that. You're getting close to 40 miles per gallon combined, which is excellent for a compact SUV, and all-wheel drive is standard on the hybrid, which adds extra value right away. But the real strength here is consistency. Toyota's hybrid systems have been around for decades, and that experience shows. These cars have a strong track record for reliability, low maintenance costs, and solid resale value. Inside, it's more practical than flashy, but everything is easy to use, and it works the way you expect. If you want something efficient, reliable, and easy to live with long-term, this is one of the safest bets you can make. Number 2, Kia Telluride. The Telluride is still one of the most well-rounded three-row SUVs out there. It's designed for real-world use, families, road trips, daily driving. You get a V6 engine with about 291 horsepower and enough towing capacity for most needs. But where it really stands out is space and comfort. The third row is actually usable for adults, which is not always the case in this category, and the interior overall feels more premium than you'd expect for the price. Materials, layout, features, it all comes together really well. Fuel economy is average for its size, but that's not really the focus here. If you need 3 rows and want something comfortable and practical, the Telluride is still one of the strongest options available. Number 3, Hyundai Tucson Hybrid. The Tucson Hybrid is a bit more understated, but it does a lot of things right. Fuel economy is again a strong point. High 30s combined. All-wheel drive is included, and the overall driving experience is smooth and comfortable. Where it really stands out is inside. The design is modern, clean, and more tech-focused than a lot of competitors. It also comes with a very complete set of safety features as standard. And if you want to go a step further, there's also a separate plug-in hybrid version with around 30+ miles of electric range, a great all-around option, especially if you care about tech and interior design. Number 4, Mazda CX-5. The CX-5 takes a slightly different approach. Instead of focusing only on practicality, it puts more emphasis on how the car feels to drive, and that's where it stands out. Steering is more precise. Handling feels more controlled. It's just a bit more engaging than most SUVs in this class. There's also a turbo engine option. That gives you a noticeable boost in performance. Inside, Mazda does a great job with materials and layout. It feels more refined than you might expect. The trade-off? It's not the most spacious in the segment, especially in the back seats and cargo area. If you want an SUV that's actually enjoyable to drive, this is one of the better options without stepping into luxury pricing. So when you look at the SUV market in 2026, there's no single perfect choice. It really comes down to what matters most to you. Some models offer interesting features, but come with trade-offs that are worth thinking about. Others are just consistently solid across the board. Quick recap: SUVs to take a closer look at: Blazer EV, Grand Cherokee 4xe, Explorer ST line, and strong, reliable choices: RAV4 Hybrid, Telluride, Tucson Hybrid, and CX-5. Before you decide, think about how you'll actually use the car. Daily commute, family trips, long drives, or just something comfortable and efficient. That's what should guide your choice. If this helped, share it with someone who's currently car shopping. And if you want a recommendation based on your specific situation, just ask.